Today we're going to do a map tour of the Chicagoland area. So it's a different feel. I'll be on my computer, you'll be able to see my screen, and I'll show you the different parts of the Chicagoland area, the city, and then the suburbs around it that make up the Chicagoland area. And, point out a couple highlights of different neighborhoods or different towns and what to expect in those part of towns. A part of the Chicagoland area, essentially. All right. So if you're ready, like I'm ready, let's get started. Hello, my name is Nonya Ononubu. I am a licensed realtor in the Chicagoland area, help buyers and sellers navigate real estate in the Chicagoland area. So if you are in the process of either moving here from a different part of the state or country, or even internationally, or you are relocating from one neighborhood to another, you don't have to do it alone. We can assist you. My information is in the description below, and we help people buy and sell and move throughout the Chicagoland area, and we'd love to have a conversation with you about that. Just to begin, I'm starting with this map here, and I'm just going to type Chicago in here, the city of Chicago, and we're going to see the outline of the city there. So you see that outline, right? And couple of things to pay attention to really is, oops, couple of things to pay attention to. Like around here is downtown. Okay, so if we zoom in a little bit, that's where we have the loop. So just about here is where downtown is. Begin to see the South Loop, the Chicago Loop district, Fulton Market, West Loop, the different neighborhoods around here. Okay, I'm also going to show you this map that has all of the neighborhoods outlined. Okay, so you can see all the different parts of Chicago on this map here. Right? And if you notice, right here, Norridge is not Chicago, and Haywood Heights, they are two towns that are kind of nestled within the city right here. And so when you come out, then this is not Chicago either, but this is Chicago with the airport, right? And Midway is on this side of town as well. So both airports are west of downtown. O'Hare is northwest. Midway is southwest. If you are downtown, either airport is close to you. Actually, it might be easier and quicker to get to Midway from downtown, especially if you're driving and depending on the time of day, right? Than going to O'Hare from downtown. But O'Hare, of course, is a larger airport with larger options and destinations and things like that. So just depends on which works for you and where you're headed. Okay. Midway is also international, so you can catch some international flights from Midway as well. Right? And so down here, you see all the little neighborhoods and going all the way up here as well to all of the neighborhoods within the city. All right. So this essentially is our Chicago city limits. So what can you expect from the city? Mostly you're going to find smaller lot sizes and homes that are closer together, depending on the neighborhood that you're in, right? You may find a lot of high-rise apartment buildings, the courtyards, the walk-ups where the door is by the sidewalk, or you have a courtyard where the building is built in such a way that there is a courtyard in the front, and then the buildings are around the courtyard for you to walk into them. So, and then we also have, of course, single-family homes, condominiums, things like that in the city. So this is the city of Chicago. All right, so let's go back to the other map that I was on before. All right, so this is where we are. And if you notice too, there's a lot of green even in the city. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see along the lakefront, like when Chicago was developed as a city, the city planners were very intentional about the lakefront. And so you notice there isn't residential um, along a lot of parts. There's only one building that's east of Lakeshore Drive on this side of Chicago. And there's a story behind that, of course. So there's only one building that's east of Lakeshore Drive, and it's around Navy Pier, somewhere around here. And everything else is west of Lakeshore Drive, so that you have the drive, and then you, as you're driving through Lakeshore Drive, you get to have the beautiful lake on your right-hand side if you're going north, and it'll be on your left if you're coming south and going down this way. Okay, so this is on the north side, and as I said, a lot of green space through the neighborhoods from the Streeterville, Gold Coast, going up to Lincoln Park, Lakeview, all of the neighborhoods north. And then south, downtown, then South Loop, which is just south of downtown. And then you start going down into Prairie Shores, Oakland, Kenwood, Bronzeville, all on this side, Hyde Park, Washington Park, Jackson Park, South Shore, and then taking you all the way down this way. And as well, you can notice too, there isn't a lot built by the lake specifically, and again, east of Lakeshore Drive, so that there are, beaches around the lake where people can go and enjoy the lake front. So yeah, that's Chicago for you. And these beaches that are highlighted are places that you can actually go and experience. And then we have Northerly Island, which is just off of um this area here where the Field Museum and the planetarium are, and Soldier Field as well. They do have concerts here and some other stuff around here too. So McCormick Place is here where you find some conventions. The auto show happens here every year, and other huge events happen here throughout the year as well. Okay, so of course, mostly around downtown and around the lake, you're going to see more high-rise type buildings, not necessarily single family. And then as you pull away from the lake, you're also going to find high-rise and along with single family homes. And the depending on where you are, and depending on the neighborhood, you may have areas that have a lot of apartments or areas that have more single family type homes with lesser apartment spaces. Okay, so each neighborhood is kind of different. If I go back to this map here, honestly, I can't even say like here you find all of this and here you find all this because it's really a mix of it, because in Rogers Park, for example, which is up here, mostly apartments, mostly condos, and then every now and then you find some single family. Westridge, there's a part of Westridge that has more single family, and then also like older townhomes, also in Rogers Park as well. Lakeview, you're gonna also, again, single family, multifamily condos, you will find there too. Okay. Now, if you come to an area like Beverly, Mount Greenwood, Roseland, some of these parts you find more single family, right? Even around Inglewood and such. I mean, you still find some multifamily, but not a lot of condos. Okay, not a lot of condos. You either find apartments or you find single family homes in some of these parts. I know there's in Archer Heights, there is one huge, no, not one, there are few. There's a Ford City somewhere around here, and you have like a couple apartment buildings, but that's rare. Otherwise, it's mostly single family homes or sorry, condo buildings. Otherwise, it's quite rare to find condo buildings in some of these areas. You either find apartments or you find single family homes. Right? And then if you come up north as well, most here are single family, and every now and then you also see multifamily as well. Not a lot of condos. Condos you find mostly on this side of town. There are some condos here, don't get me wrong, there are some condos, but in terms of percentages, it's more single family than condo buildings in these parts that are farther away from the lake. Okay, so the farther away you are from the lake, the less congested it will be because you have more single family versus a lot of condominiums and such. And like I mentioned earlier, we also have townhouses. You can think of them as like row homes where the walls are attached to the house. The houses, the walls are attached. The older ones, you may find them without an HOA, but the newer ones, you will find them with an HOA attached. Okay. So this is the city. Now, if I go back here, and I type Chicago metropolitan area, it's going to show me the parts of essentially when people talk about I'm in Chicago, right? Or when someone says I live in Chicago, your question to them is, are you in the city or are you in one of the suburbs, right? Because there are some towns here that local people will know, but people who are not local to the Illinois area will have no idea what you're talking about. So people just say, I'm in Chicago. So this is our general Chicagoland area. And as you can see, it also kind of goes into Wisconsin. So this is Wisconsin here, because this is the Illinois Wisconsin border. So this part of Wisconsin is actually considered Chicagoland. If you then go um, south and east, this is Indiana, right? So some part of Indiana is also is also considered part of the Chicagoland area because they are so close to the city of Chicago, like the suburbs here in Chicago. Okay, so these people who live here, some people who live here, like East Chicago, Hammond, Indiana, Munster, you can notice like they're really close to the border. So some people actually work in Illinois and live in Indiana or vice versa. You may need to go grocery shopping and you live in Calumet City. You may just want to go over if there is a grocery store that's closer to you versus going to one in Illinois, right? So those are certain things like when you're on the border, it just kind of flows back and forth. So on the south here, as you approach Bourbonnais, Kankakee, you're outside of the Chicagoland area. Going west, once you get past Manuka, Shanahan, and just going Morris, then you're kind of leaving the Chicagoland area. Up this way, Sugar Grove, after Aurora, Naperville, and then going towards like these towns here. Some of them I've never heard of till today, right? You're getting outside the Chicagoland area. DeKalb here as well. And once you get past that, the Cobb area, then you're getting outside of the Chicagoland area. And then north, um, McHenry County, Crystal Lake, Huntley, Marengo, and then you kind of start leaving the Chicagoland area because then you're getting into Rockford. All right. Most likely these are county boundaries. So you have McHenry County up here, Kane County, um, Will County, DuPage County, and then Cook County, where Illinois is, and then Lake County, which is Cook County, where Chicago is, and then Lake County, which is north of Chicago from about Northbrook area, just about here, where Lake Cook Road is. And then you see the county line. So this is south here is Cook County, north here is Lake County, and then it goes all the way to the Wisconsin border. All right, so that's kind of how the Chicagoland area is comprised of those counties, essentially. Okay, so then looking at the map, you can see there's a lot of green in the map. So even though we're in a dense area, it's Chicago, it's highly populated, old city, all of those things, is one of the largest cities in the US. We do have a lot of parks. So even within your neighborhoods, like we have a lot of neighborhood parks so that even though you don't have a backyard and an area for to hang out or for kids to play, you're gonna have a park in your neighborhood. So this is here, this is right here. If I zoom in a little bit more, this is another park, this is another green area. So you see how there's like so many parks. There are so many parks within our communities. Okay. So many, and even like if there's a university, they may have a track area that people in the community can use during certain hours, right? So you have all of those. Um, let's go downtown because it's also downtown where you have this North Avenue beach, right? So even if you're downtown, see the little parks here around like Streeterville area, but then you have this whole area too that is open and you can enjoy them. And you're by the water too. Okay? Like I said, Newberry Library, there's a park here. Water Tower Place, there's a park here. You know, Museum of Contemporary Art, there's a park here. Lakeshore Playground, right? So there are a lot of parks throughout the city, north, south. I mean, look at Millennium Park, Maggie Daly Park, um, the Buckingham Fountain. All of these areas here are all green space. Like I said, going south as well, you're going to keep seeing a whole lot of parks. And if they're like part of the Chicago Park District, they have activities and programs in summer, winter, fall, and all of that, provide jobs for people in the community and things like that, right? Some have tennis courts, some have basketball courts. Um, I mean, whatever you're looking for. In the summertime, we have movie in the park, so you may be able to enjoy that as well if you're in the city. And I just showed you like one section. Remember, Chicago is huge. And then if you think about the Chicagoland area, right? You see all the green forest preserves all around. There's trails. There's even a forest preserve in Chicago, like right here. Okay. And there's a bike trail that goes from here and takes you all the way up north and actually gets you to the Gardens right here. So if you're an outdoor person, you won't miss the outdoors if you live in Chicago. I mean, it might not be like where you're coming from, right? But at least there are things that you can enjoy here too if you move out this way. All right. And this is in Northbrook, Glenview area where the Coles Children's Museum is, right? So you can see there's a lot of green. And again, I'm still close to Chicago. I haven't actually gone far out. So you can look and see all the stuff here. Okay, this again is our Chicagoland area. All right. So there's so much that you can do in outdoors, even though you are in the Chicagoland area. Okay. Now, if I was going to section off some of these parts, you have like Chicago itself and the towns that are closer to Chicago, you kind of just like roll it all in. For example, Evanston, Wilmette, Skokie, Niles, Park Ridge, and then on this side, Oak Park, and then even going south, like Cicero, Burbank, Blue Island, Dalton, Calumet City, South Holland, those are almost like Chicago, like really, really close to the city. So they're kind of like paired in with the city. And then when you start going towards Tinley Park, Orland Park, Frankfort, that's like another section of the city, of the Chicagoland area, sorry, where you find more single family homes, some condos, some subdivisions, things like that. Newer-ish type homes you find here. Um, not as much in these parts, like around South Holland and such, but the further you go from the city, you find more newer homes. Are they going to be older homes? Of course, but these parts, some of these parts were developed later on, like in early 2000s, late 1990s. So you have newer type homes, subdivisions that still have HOAs controlling them and things like that. You still find in some of these parts. And then if we keep going out this way, depending on where you are, you find like moderate single family homes. You also find large, expensive, huge single family homes as well. So you can find some of those in Tinley Park, Orland Park, Frankfort, Mokina. And then if you keep going west to like New Lenox as well, you find some of those. In Joliet, older town, some parts, but there's been a lot of development again, like new builds and such in some of these areas, in Joliet. So, in Shorewood, so you find some newer type homes here too. But again, older as well. But Plainfield is another place where there's a lot of new construction as well. Bolingbrook, Romeoville, these areas where, in terms of their real estate, very moderately priced until about COVID time, where we saw a spike in prices. You can still find some homes in the high 200s, low 300s ish depending on the size, condition, um, the year it was built, and things like that. But then you also find homes in the 400 range and such too here. And then going up to like Naperville area. Naperville is one of the bigger towns outside of Chicago. I think it's the biggest outside of Chicago in the Chicagoland area. And it's also a very old town. People settled here like a really, I can't remember the exact year, but years ago, right? You see Napier settlement here is a little tourist attraction area. So Naperville is very, if you've, it's one of the towns you probably have heard of because the schools are great. The schools are actually nationally ranked and mostly single family homes. You find some luxury type homes here in the $1 million range and stuff like that. Aurora as well. All right. Montgomery, I remember when Montgomery started developing, like I never heard of it, and they had a lot of new builds there, but now it's grown as well. It's like just right outside of Aurora, so it's close enough. They share some school districts like between Aurora and Montgomery, and same with Plainfield and Oswego. All right, so Oswego is here, Plainfield is here. And remember, right, the name is here doesn't mean it doesn't extend like out this way, right? Because the name is there, but then the town kind of extends out as well. So Oswego, Montgomery, Plainfield, those are towns that in the last, I would say 15-ish years have really exploded with new construction and a lot of people moving out this ways with newer schools, new good schools too. The school districts there are nice. And then coming up a little bit here north of Aurora, again, some older-ish towns. Wheaton is also one that's kind of popular because of the college there. Um, Mostly single family, or you may find apartments, not a lot of condos. They built some townhouses around here. Even in Warrenville, there's a huge new build. Funny enough, they started building around 2019, and not a lot of people were interested. And then early when the pandemic came, I know some people who bought here, and all of a sudden, the market here just took off because people were leaving the city during the pandemic because they needed more space and things like that. So there was a lot of migration out here. So the values of the homes in this and the new subdivision that was built here then have skyrocketed just because of the demand that happened around that time too. So it's just been interesting like watching the way the city and the Chicagoland area in general has just evolved over the years. Um so yeah, so all of these you find in certain parts you find like huge estates where you're not so close to your neighbors and you have like mature trees and things like that. So if you were looking for that kind of a space, you can come out this way. There's a smaller airport here. There's also one in Naperville. I'm not sure where it is on the map. There's actually a neighborhood in Naperville that has its own little airport around it. Okay. So there's that. And then if you go up more, you get to Schaumburg area. So this is Schaumburg. So Schaumburg area where you have Hanover Park, Streamwood, Bartlett, Elk Grove Village. Um, Schaumburg is also like Schaumburg has Woodfield Mall, which has a lot of brings a lot of traffic to Schaumburg. It's one of the bigger malls, although since the pandemic and things like that, since people went indoors, some of the retail there is suffering. Same like in a whole lot of other places, right? Um, but I'm sure they'll recover from it as well. And you can see the proximity to O'Hare from Schaumburg. So there are a lot of businesses that run out of Schaumburg, like office buildings and things like that. Um, Hotels, resorts. Like I said, there's a lot of green. There's a Schaumburg Golf Club. There's a there's a Hilton here that has a huge, it's a resort type Hilton. I don't remember where, but it's in Schaumburg as well. Seymour Golf and green space here around Schaumburg area. So, and then Hoffman Estates too is kind of considered around Schaumburg. Okay. Then you begin to get to Barrington area. So for Barrington, you can find like a equestrian type properties here in Barrington and homes that have like lakes as well. You see all the lakes in Barrington area. This is South Barrington and then going up north again to Barrington, Inverness. So this is like the Barrington area. I see all the lakes. So with Barrington, there are huge estates here with estates that have horses and such in Barrington, if that's something that appeals to you. Um, Barrington is northwest of Chicago. On a good day, you can get downtown in about 30, 45 minutes, okay, without traffic. But when there's traffic, it's a longer trip. Um, so your Barrington area is around here, and then you get to Elgin here, which Elgin has exploded over the past 10, 15 years with a lot of new construction, a lot of new schools. Elgin and South Elgin, south of 20 in Elgin, and then South Elgin as well, with a lot of people migrating from the city to this area. Um, I mean, there's everything that you need there, so why not? Grocery stores, hospitals, all of that. Okay, and then Huntley, Crystal Lake, Lake in the Hills. This is another part, McHenry area up this way. Okay, like I said, we're still in the Chicagoland area. It's huge. So all of this way is about McHenry, Lake in the Hills, all of those. And then going here, which is on this side, north of the city. So this is Chicago. Then remember Evanston, Wilmette, Glenview. I mean, notice all the green. So this is Chicago Botanical Gardens. And here from the city limits, it's about 10, 15 minutes, literally, from the city limits. Um, so you're not too far from the city if you don't want to go too far. But here you find a lot of single family homes, some condos. They're actually building some new construction condos, I think in Wilmette or Winnetka. I'm sorry, I should have done my research. But um it's new, right? Because there's not a lot of that here. And mostly single families, some townhouses, some condos as well. There's new construction in Deerfield, if I remember correctly, um, and some of these areas as well, if you wanted to live here. And then, so some of this is still Cook County, but then once you go up past the county line here, now we're in Lake County. So you have Highland Park, Vernon Hills, um, Parkland Hills, Lake Zurich is around here, Libertyville, all of these parts. And then Waukegan, there's a naval base around here in Grace Lake. So that brings a lot of traffic here. Okay. And if you think about proximity from the airport, this highway here kind of takes you to O'Hare if you just follow it down. So you're still able to get down to the airport. And then if you take it this way and make a right here and go down this way, you get to downtown. Or you can come down this way and then take 90 downtown as well. Right? So then up here is just Lake County, really, like a lot of small towns here with moderate size homes, but then you also find higher priced luxury properties here as well. The Chicago Bears play in Soldier Field, but their training center is in Lake Forest. So a lot of athletes and such live up here. For reference, Michael Jordan's home is somewhere here. No, it's up here. His former home. He sold it right now. All right, in Highland Park, but it was here. Okay, if you wanted to look, yeah, it's Half Day Road and like around here. Okay, so just for reference, so a lot of athletes live and still lived around here. The Bulls players, because they have a facility up here as well for practice, and then they play in the United Center, which is in the city. All right, so um, speaking of the United Center, it's in the city. It is about here, somewhere around the medical district. You're also going to see the United Center here. Okay. And it's close to highways, transportation, things like that. And let me just show you real quickly transit. If that was of importance to you, like some people who live in the city don't have cars because you're able to get around depending on where you live. And one thing I also did mention is in the city, you also will have like grocery stores are close by and such, so you may not even need a car to get around. But the transportation system, this is just the trains, right? And they take you out into the suburbs as well, and even all the way up to Wisconsin. Okay, so we do have trains that go all the way up north um, and west. All right. So depending on what you like, there's a place for anyone out here in the Chicagoland area. All right, Joe, I know that's a lot to show you, and I didn't even cover every single thing that I could have shown you. Shopping, as you see on my screen right here, the Chicago Premium Outlets. There's an outlet mall in Aurora. There's also Rosemont, that's just by the airport, that has one that's been open, I think about 10 years now, if I remember correctly, but it's newer. And then going up to Gurnee, which is in Lake County, there's a Gurnee Mills that has a lot of stores, a lot of shopping. And then going to Wisconsin, there's an outlet mall out that way as well. Casinos, hotels, whatever you're looking for, recreation, outdoors, botanical gardens, zoos, conservatories that are indoors. It may not be like some other parts of the country, but this is a nice space in the Midwest that's close to water, that's close to trails, forest preserves, things like that, just to suit any person's preference or choices. And I didn't even begin to talk about food and things like that because that's a whole that deserves a whole video of its own, right? So stick around. I will do more videos where I talk about other things that you can enjoy here. And like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, my team and I will be glad to assist you with all of your real estate needs here in the Chicagoland area. All right, our information is in the description below. Feel free to reach out, even if you're looking to move in 90 days, 9 days, 9 months, 9 years, whatever it is. We would like to connect with you. All right. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.